Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Dawn Riser here, host of the Halcyon Show. How are you doing? Been a minute. I know. That was on purpose. Long story short, I hit a major dissociative point in my life where I just didn't want to hear anything from anybody about anything. Existential crisis of self, I suppose you might call it. Yeah. And I'm not through it yet, I'll be honest with you. I'm just kind of ducking in because it's been, according to my YouTube feed on videos, it's been 50 odd days, something like that, since my last post. I think it is a little bit selfish to just dip and not say why. I guess long story short, when it came to my coverage of UK Battle Rap Premier Battles and the Where Winning Mats tournament, it just felt very futile. It felt like white noise. It felt like no one really cared all that much about what I was doing. There were some props, but ultimately, it just felt like I was just kind of talking to myself a lot of the time, which probably isn't what you want to hear if you watched and enjoyed it, in which case I appreciate you. But just generally speaking, it felt like no one really cared about what I was trying to do. So you just go, okay, I don't want to do that anymore then, because it's kind of a waste of time and a bit boring. You think about doing other things. You think about doing interviews and doing the live streams and stuff, and it just kind of becomes a bit meh. And then I stepped away for a little bit, obviously, for the last, like I say, month, 2 months, and I'll just be honest, it's been just kind of a very sobering period of time to realise that 2025 has been quite a bad year for me personally, in the sense of maybe not in any direct sizable way, but just overall, like if we're at the table gambling, you know, I haven't lost all my chips this year, but I I wish I hadn't sat down to gamble. I should have just stayed home, and yeah, it's just been like that. So for no other reason than, again, I am I am aware that whatever I might be experiencing, people outside of my sphere as well as inside my sphere might be experiencing. I feel it's always incumbent upon me to be able to try and articulate that, express it, so that if anyone sees this and feels the same way, you at least don't feel quite so alone with it. Also, just to say, hey, I'm alive. Just maybe also just have a little nose round, because I came off Twitter as well. Again, for no other reason than my sanity. I really want to come off everything. I'll be brutally honest with you now. YouTube, my channel, I put a lot of work into that, but like Twitter, I really don't have. I can live without it just fine now. Instagram, fucking Threads. So Instagram, I just hate what it does to you as a person. I think it melts your fucking brain. And it feeds you a lot of bullshit. I've got people sending me AI stuff now, and I keep begging them to stop. Like, can you not send me that shit, please? Threads, Blue Sky, all that shit. I don't use it. So, and it's been remarkably quiet. It's kind of illuminated me to the fact that what my real world is very quiet without all of this. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I've got to work at improving that, because like that's real. Like the online stuff isn't really real. And I feel like I want to put less and less focus of it. It might just be me getting older. Who knows? But yeah, long story short, I just want to be not focused on it quite so much. So yeah, that's the reason I've been away. I haven't been inspired to make anything. I don't really feel like my opinion is carrying much at the moment either. So there's not a lot of yeah. You know what I mean? Not a lot of talking about. So what's the point of making stuff? I haven't had a particularly strong opinion on anything in particular. pain in the ass. God knows. Fuck me. Anyways, I hope you can still hear and see me. I can hear myself now, even with these giant fucking headphones on my head. The one time as well, I got super paranoid about doing it without my headphones because you can't hear, so you don't know if you can be heard. And yeah, it turns out you couldn't hear me, so sorry about that. Anyways, I've completely lost my train of thought, so I just thought we'd touch base, say hey, and then I'd also just have a quick nose around and see what's going on. And the last thing that I was opining upon, which is probably the reason that you tuned into me in the first place, which is battle rap related things. Premier Battles have had their tournament, I know that. And I was perusing earlier, and I wanted to talk about this very, very briefly because, again, I might as well. I will caveat this by saying, like I mentioned, I think on one of my previous streams, I did reach out to a couple of the people at Premier Battles to just try and like gauge like what content can actually be produced for it. And in fact, let me go here. I know Cammy has. But I'm curious to see if anyone else has posted anything about the tournament. Because I'll come back to that post from Premier Battles in a second. Because I have a point to make about it. However, for now, and that it's me, so that doesn't really count. I know it's Red Wolf, but it's my interview. There's me again. So, yeah, at least on Twitter, it's difficult to see anyone talking about the tournament, which not great. I mean, I could go through people's feeds. I guess the point I was making there was I'm still a little bit disappointed to see that Premier Battles and the people therein are still not really deviating from the playbook, as it were. I know that they've still got a lot of stuff to release, and it's all going to be on the Patreon. As far as the social media, the fact that they're doing an event at the back end of the year when they said, right, no more live events, we're focusing on this, and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, there probably is an argument to be made that they're trying to capitalize on what they consider to be the virality of both of these guys. And it has to be said that I've seen a lot of Lefty and Sean Cray in my Instagram feed. No one sent me anything of their stuff yet, it has to be said. That's when I think that you've really made it in terms of quote virality, is when people are sending you their shit. Not them, you know what I mean? Like when people are sending stuff from people and they're blowing up, as opposed to you scrolling and you're in the, because with all due respect, like my shorts get views and I've got a channel with 600 subscribers, like, so the fact that you're getting views on TikTok and Instagram and whatever it is that you're on, the YouTube shorts, whatever, that's not an indication of success to me, or virality even. What it is, it's the shares. It's how many people are actively choosing to interact with it. And I think Sean Cray and Lefty are probably the two that are closest to that, without going into people like Luna C. In terms of UK battle rap, at least, I see more of Luna C being shared. I see more of Sean Cray and Lefty being shared than someone like, say, Shotty Horror. So it's not a bad thing that you see him popping up in the feeds. I would just hasten to add, though, that I think we're not quite there in terms of breaking over yet, and it's nice to see we're moving towards that. But my point to all of that was that it seems like they're trying to capitalize on both of their work. And the point I was making before with Premier Battles and my coverage with it is that Premier Battles seem to be making this shift to trying to make the promotion the focal point, in the same way that Don't Flop used to be the focal point, rather than individual battlers or channels outside of battle rap. It would appear, at least, that they're not making much ground on that yet. Hopefully that changes once they start to release content from the tournament, But I guess what I'm saying there is, having been onto the Premier Battles YouTube channel earlier, again, this is kind of the other reason why I wanted to hop on is because I was just starting to think. Dangerous, I know, but those guys are going more and more off the rails. Fucking those guys, ridiculous. See, Premier. See, search him. Little Daddy House Shoes. Premier Battles. It's always interesting. Like you can get a sense of what's going on in life when it's like been playing a lot of Cyberpunk. Decided to get into The Boys to try and give it a chance. Decided to try and get into fucking Walking Dead, Breaking Bad. The Athletic I just watch because of football. See, Cammy. Touch base with Cammy quickly. Listen to that every single night before I go to sleep because it soothes me. And then you got Don't Flop Premier Battles because I looked into it today. The reason I'm bringing them up is because, again, I get that the final product is yet to be released. However, we've got videos from the Academy. And then we've got shorts. But yeah, nothing from the tournament. And they've got they've had, you know, time to put something together. And I guess this was the kind of the concern that some people were having when it came to the breaking content. I think it was Haddershrooms, one of my viewers, that was saying something to that effect. And it's like, man, I don't want to go 6 months without seeing content. And it was my belief, at least, that they would have some kind of social media presence that would be whetting the appetite in the interim period. But it seems, and again, it's not a knock necessarily if it's helping them or if it works. This I see as a bit of a regression, because not only are they saying that, you know, we're going to do a live event when we said we weren't going to do any more live events until the end of until the knockout phase of the tournament, but we're tapping into success of two individuals that, again, the tournament isn't built around. Like, not being funny, people have heard of Sean Cray and people have heard of Lefty. The tournament was predicated around building this sort of more new wave of talent. So, you know, yeah, I'm not saying they can't do that. I'm just saying it's a little bit disappointing to see that in the, do you know what? Fuck it. Why don't we look together? I think it says on my dashboard. Because it says, like, the first X amount of days of your video's performance or whatever. So it'll tell me exactly when I uploaded last. 51 days and 16 hours since I last posted. We haven't really seen anything. Not through the, quote, official channels. So I guess my point to all that is that I have no idea how it went, other than, in fact, I heard about Peace Soldier being ill, and I heard about DW dropping out, which made me immediately concerned, and I'm going to try and reach out to him as best I can, because I hope he's okay. That's all I'll say about that, because I'm assuming something pretty significant happened. Let me pull it up. Where is it? There we are. So, the update from them was Block 1 filming was a great success, with some brilliant battles that happened. Right, 14 instead of, was 16, wasn't it? It should have been. Tongue Twister and DW removed from the tournament. Tongue Twister can no longer commit, which is... Oh, wow. Jesus Christ. And visuals out as well. That may help to explain why Premier Battles are rethinking their strategy. I think I mentioned this earlier. I got a very nice email from Bison Briggs just after I finished my Where Many Matters series, because I reached out and said, look, you know, is there any coverage that might be helpful or that you would suggest that I can look into? And he basically he just said whatever. whatever you want to do is fine. Just don't release any clips of the tournament if you get your hands on any, and don't disclose anything before the tournament. And that's totally fine and helpful, because I don't know what happened. I don't know anything about who won, who lost. It didn't even know about any of this until I read this morning. What I would say is that if I'm Briggsy in this situation, it's got to be damn hard to try and run a tournament when you've got 4 people out, and 2 of them are 2 of the biggest hitters and the biggest drawers of what is supposed to be a new gen group. And so he has all the sympathy in the world from me, because again, I think if he could dream book this thing, I think he would be doing it along the lines of what I'm proposing, which is to kind of appeal to a new demographic and all the rest of it. But because of this sort of stuff happening, maybe they've had to revise their philosophy for the time being. Again, I'd love to ask these sorts of questions, but again, I understand now that in the scope of things, again, who gives a fuck about what I think and have to say? What I would say is, how is this particular set of circumstances affected his booking outlook for the rest of the tournament? Now that they're going to have to recalibrate to a certain degree. Also, his efforts. I mean, it's kind of a no-win situation for him. He's having to fill in. But let's say, for the sake of argument, he loses in the group stages. People would probably say, well, it's because you're not this, that, or the other, right? It's nice he's doing it, but he's not a true competitor. Conversely, if he goes on to win it, what they're going to do? Build the promotion around the promoter. I mean, it might be an excuse to have some Vince McMahon levels of fun. It's what I was suggesting with Bizzo Bond, is to legit turn heel, not just in terms of his presentation when he walks out to the crowd, but also like have fun with it. Like antagonize people, be a bit of a character. Doesn't look like he took that to heart, the whole heel biz thing. It didn't really look like it panned out too much. I was still seeing, generally speaking, the same sort of posts. Italian, before you ask, by the way. I'm trying to limit my caffeine intake to just 1 thermos a day, because number one, it stays hot if you put it in a thermos, but also, Jesus, I need to cut down on my coffee intake, but you'll pry coffee out of my cold, dead hands as far as giving it up entirely. But yeah, it's just a shame, really, that they're not going to be able to continue to book in a way that suits the narrative that they were trying to forge. So it's nice that they got the filming done, and that's fantastic. I hope to hear good things about the footage as and when it's released. But yeah. I mean, look, again, they're having fun with it, but it is still, still not great. And it appears here that they celebrated their 8-year, or they're about to, 9-year anniversary by the looks of things, in 8 weeks. So when's that? So 2 months from whenever this was. So, they started in December? Okay, fair enough. I read this. I'm not sure what, because there seems to be some intimation here that it's a weird way to say thank you for your support. The way I read it was kind of it's almost typical battle rap in that it's being very I don't know, needlessly aggressive. If I read it out loud, you'll see what I mean. What it's all about: the leagues, the media, the promoters, the battlers, the big events, the small events. None of it happens without support. You can't expect and demand fan support. You have to earn that trust by delivering on every promise you make, but more importantly, owning it when you mess up and break that trust. No platform is owed anything. No promoter is owed fan interest, and no battler is owed respect. Earn it. We're about to enter our 9th year. Every year would see that again. Stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how helpful that is at this point in time. I think you need to. I think you need to pick a lane and just be consistent with it. If you're trying to be professional and a production arm of a production company, imagine like, imagine UFC or WWE posting this, and ask yourself, does that track with their stance as a legitimate company in business? Compare and contrast that to, I want to say it's Aldi or some other, like, there are some companies that let their social media platform handlers just go nuts and go after customers and stuff like that. Or dunk on Specsavers. I think they dunk on people from time to time, and it's a bit of fun. I don't really know what to read this other than it's a statement of defiance and an attempt to celebrate, which is fine. But yeah, it was a bit confusing, that post, to me, just from the perspective of it's not really a celebration or the rest of it. It's also not great, and this is just me, like, in the picture you took here, there's at least 2 or 3 people on their phones, and there's a few people at the bar. I think this is, if I had to guess, I think that's at the Hootenanny. I could be wrong, though. Yeah, man, like, just say to everyone, hey, up here, quick. You know what I mean? It's little things. It's little things. I'm that guy. Again, I'm not a creative director, but I have my thoughts nonetheless. Man enjoys once last. Does he? Okay, well, good for him. Again, stuff like that on Twitter, I don't miss, and I'm not going to miss it. So, anyways, back to the point. As far as Premier Battles are concerned, I wish them all. I really do hope that the second round of recordings is successful, and that they don't suffer any more dropouts, and that they can continue to book and build in the manner of which they originally envisaged. That would be good for everyone, I feel like. Again, the idea is obviously to help build up the battlers, but also to build up the league and as a consequence, the UK battle rap scene as a whole. So hopefully they can continue to be successful in that endeavor. I hope to read more good things about the performers that they're building up, rather than booking events around performers that, again, Sean Cray's been around for a minute. Lefty is one of the Don't Flop originals, as best I can tell, or is as close as near as makes no difference. Again, it would be great to see a card booked around someone I'd not heard of, or heard relatively little about from Prem at some stage in the future, which I'm sure they're just as adamant about doing as anybody else is. So that's the battle rap stuff put to one side. The only other thing I wanted to hop on and just very, very briefly talk about, since it's one of those rare occasions where I get to just talk and no one gets to interrupt me, and it's up to you whether or not you want to listen to it or not. And this is more a plea to everyone that watches this. Do me a favor. When people are talking, let them fucking finish talking. You wouldn't believe how many people I'm talking to right now, just day to day, who don't understand how a conversation is meant to flow. So much so that it got me thinking the other day that if a Hollywood production or a television production studio wanted to cast and script something that looked realistic, no one would ever finish a fucking sentence anymore. Like, it would be hyperbolic. Like, just let people fucking talk and stop trying to take what they're saying so aggressively. Again, like, I see so many influencing again, being off social media doesn't make me better than anybody, but it certainly helps clarify the mind in terms of what you see how you see people behaving in relation to what common sense would dictate that you do day to day versus what you get the impression that social media is or just the internet in general at the moment is teaching people to do. The real world is right out there. It's right there. That's the real world. You see it, you touch it, you feel it. Generally speaking, it is better for everybody if we try and get along. That's complicated at times due to past experiences. It's complicated due to any number of internal factors that we all possess in terms of our, whatever, right? But it's worth trying. And as much as it's been nice not being around social media, I can still see its influence in absolutely everywhere I go at the moment. And I would just humbly submit to anyone that watches this that life's too fucking short. And it might be worth putting the phone down for a little bit and just touching grass, not to show off for social media, but for you, to go back inside your own life for a little bit and stop living it so out there. Not to get into any political or technological babble, but like the more I see people being reliant on technology now, to see how it's being monetized and sort of cordoned off and segmented, and just how fucking manipulative it's becoming, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to just hit a reset and just say, right, that goes in the corner for a little bit, it goes in the cupboard, it goes in the teapot, put the tea lid on, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to talk about it, just to help create a bit of separation from the influence of it. And then again, like me, there's nothing wrong with picking it up from time to time and just touching base with it, but at the same time I feel like I spent too much time on it. I'm willing to wager again, because my experience is not unique, that most people are not spending the right amount of time with it, which is as little as possible. So yeah, just remember the real world's outside. You have less time than you think. It's much more wonderful outside than I bet you that this thing would convince you it is at the moment. You just got to be willing to be able to put a bit of positivity out there and clamp down, more importantly, on the negativity from a position of dignity and a position of authority, led by kindness, informed by world wariness, but ultimately with the intent of trying to make the world a better place for you and the person that you're trying to coexist with. So yeah, like I say, man, I hope, I doubt anyone's going to see this, and that's fine. I just wanted to touch base for my own sanity to say, hey, I'm still here, still knocking around. If I feel like coming back, I'll come back and do some stuff. Not because I think that there's going to be a massive audience for it, but because I want to have fun doing something, and I want to keep this as an outlet. That's ultimately why I'm quite happy to walk away from social media, generally speaking. But YouTube, it's nice to keep that door open. So, short one today. But listen, man, I hope you're okay if you see this. I hope life is treating you as well as it possibly can be. To all the Battle Rap fans, I hope you're enjoying the Premier Battle stuff. I hope the Summer Madness and Buy the Pound cards were good and fun. I hope you're gearing up for a nice Halloween, and again, winter isn't too harsh on you. So listen, take very good care of yourselves. Comments, questions in the comment section if you like. I'll answer them. I always do. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining me if you did. Like I say, take very good care of yourselves. And I'll see you down the road for the next day. See, I can't bear to say goodbye. I'll see you down the road for the next edition of the Halcyon Show.